Hey guys, so in this video I'll be continuing inserting data into MySQL database because what we're doing with the result set here is just fetching data from the database, and we use a while loop to iterate through the results. And there are several ways of fetching data from a database, rather inserting data into a database, and I'm going to show you two ways. One which uses the statement execute update, and the other one using prepared statements. And so the first one, I'm just going to use the simple execute update. So it's something like this. I'm just going to create a query string. Just going to call it SQL executed, and then I'm going to say insert into, and then the table name, which is users, and then specify where we get the columns and the password. And then specify the values. So I'm going to stop right there. Before I enter the values, I'm just going to create two parameters here, which are going to be passing to the function before we run it. So here I'm just going to create the scanner class. So we take data of the user. So scanner is equal to int is equal to new scanner, and this system dot in. So first of all, I should declare this variable so that we pass in the name is equal to int dot next. Just gonna replicate that so that we pass in the variable for the password as well. And let's just also put a descriptive message where it says please enter username, and I'm going to use print here, not print line, so that it doesn't skip a line. Replicate that. So please enter password, and then we're going to pass in those values into a DB function, which is the name and the pass. So in here, the values that we're going to be inserting are the name and the password. So here I'm just going to put in the name, just a single quote right there. Going to do that. And so passing the password right there. Quote there. And yeah. So our query should look something like insert into users, name, password. These are the names of the columns of in the database. So, and then from there to the values. And then, say for instance, we pass in John, with the password of password 1. So ignore the red line because I'm just showing you how it's going to look. Let me just comment this. So this is how that is going to look as we're inserting it, as we're executing the query. So to execute the query, I'm just going to run the statement, which is stm dot. Mind you, I'm taking this stm from this statement right there. So stm dot execute update. Execute update, and then I insert my SQL query right there, and bam. So the reason why I've left it up here is so that when we actually fetch the results, it shows us the result that was just entered. So now I'm going to run the program, and hopefully it runs. It's just going to take a few seconds. There we go. Please enter username, Jonathan. Pardon my spellings. Password 123. And now we're waiting for it to connect to the database. Hopefully it connects. Oh shoot, it's not going to connect because my XAMPP is not running. Forgot that I just restarted my PC. So I'm just going to start my XAMPP so that there's a connection. And there we go. My XAMPP is running right now. And let's run the file again. And pardon the background noise. So Jonathan, task 123. And we should see the results. So there's the name Jonathan and task 123. And that was the other row in the database table. So the next part is going to be running inserting data as a prepared statement. Again, pardon the background noise. I'm sorry about that. Somebody's just passing through. I'm not in my room right now, so now let's make that happen. So using prepared statements, you have your query prepared already. So I'm just gonna comment this out so that we don't use them again, and remove the spaces between them. Again, all this code is available on GitHub. I'm going to share the link. So using a prepared statement, I'm going to do the following. First, let me write down the query. So string, in fact, let me just replicate what I did here because it's pretty much the same. So string, take it there, move the comments, and insert into users, name and password. But the only difference is that for the values part, I do not pass in anything. What I do is just put in question marks. So this is preparing the statement to say that there will be values that are passed in over there, okay? So the next thing is to create a prepared statement. Prepared statement, and I'm just gonna call it PRP is equal to con, which is our connection to the database, dot prepare statement, which is the SQL command that we have up there, right? And then from there, we have to set the values of which are going to actually be entered into the database. So we call PRP dot set. In this case, as you can see, there are several data types of which you can be inserting into your database. but since we're using strings, I'm just going to say set string, and then the column in which it's going to be entered, in this case it's 1, and then the value is name. And then I'm just going to replicate that. Since we only have 2, you can have as many of this as you can according to the number of fields that you're entering into your database. And in here it's pass. All right. And after that, and by the way, if I was entering integers, this would have been set int with a capital I, or set bool as a boolean, or set date as a date, and so on and so forth. So just Control Z. And back to the array. So at the end of that, I have to execute that statement. So I'm going to say prp.execute without any parameters. And let's save that. And that should be it. So let's run this and make sure that it actually runs. So run file. There we go. Please enter username. I'm gonna say I'm running out of names. Thanos. And everybody else is gonna hate me for doing that. So I'm gonna remove that. Okay, let's enter captain. And the password should be Marvel 123. And we should see those values down there. So these are the values that have been fetched from the database using our prepared statement, and that is how you enter values using into your database using either prepared statement or the statement. So yeah. So the first one, you just execute the query directly. The other one, you actually prepare the statement and then set the values and then execute the statement. And that's pretty much it. So hope you've learned something. Please comment if you have not understood anything. And again, the code is available